In follow-up to my shoot results episode with beautiful client Sam Flynn, I'm showing you how Sam's going to be using these images in context of her new business adventure. This gives you all of the pieces of the puzzle from ideation to creation to implementation. And this is something that we've not really looked at before here on Moi TV. But it is something that is so valuable and really important to understand when you're considering any kind of professional photography in your business. I also think that this is going to help you out if you've got a really big idea right now that you're trying to develop in ideation phase, or maybe it's just become so big that you're struggling to get your arms around it, for want of a better metaphor, and you're not really sure about where you need to start with actually implementing it and turning the idea into reality. Oh, and I have a whole chat with Sam on this episode as well. I pick her really clever brains about psychology and social media and why that's so important for us as entrepreneurs who want to stand out in a very noisy media environment. I personally learned loads from this conversation, so I think it's going to be helpful for you as well. Okay, so Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I thought it would be fun if we just talk through the aesthetic that we've gone with for these photos. I'm really excited about it, and I feel like this fits in nicely to that trend I was telling you about before when we were shooting. So talk us through your concept for this, and then we can get into the photography creativity side.
Yeah, so I'm launching a new business next year, which I've never even said the name of the business yet, so I might not give it away yet.
Ooh.
But yeah, otherwise it'd be a proper exclusive.
Yes.
But the idea behind the name and the logo and everything is essentially to do with space.
Cool.
So I wanted a bit of a spacey background, so it made sense really to then go with the green screen so we can insert the spacey feel, have things like this kind of an outfit. So yeah, that's what I wanted, and then just happy, cheerful.
And why space then? Why did you go with space? So obviously we won't put the announcement out. We might go back retrospectively. Like if you're watching this, like the end of quarter 2 of 2020, we might have put a link
out there.
But why? Why space?
So first of all, for the business itself, I think space worked in terms of using language like skyrocket your success. So the business is a social media training business. So I think that the terminology I could use around that was quite good.
Yes.
So, go to another planet, skyrocket, become an astronaut of your success. So the language helped a lot. But then in terms of the imagery, I just thought it's something a bit different for me.
Yes.
I've always gone quite monochrome with my branding. Don't really know why. I think that's just happened naturally. Maybe I wear too much black, probably why I went monochrome. And I think this time I thought, let's play a little bit with a different type of branding.
Yeah.
And open it up in terms of, new colours and
love that. It fits so well as well with 2020. When I remember when we were speaking about this a few weeks ago when we were getting this together, I was like, actually, that's a perfect time, because I think it's like, even when we were kids, and you think like 2020, wow, that's so like far in the future. So you're kind of jumping on that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And it's future thinking. It's that idea that become part of this membership, and you will skyrocket your success to the future kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it does. It fits well with the branding and everything.
Cool. So without trying to give anything away then, or you want to get into like who we're serving with your new business compared to who you serve now? Because I feel like it's quite a pivot.
There's a shift, So my current business very much deals with corporates doing in-house training with large organisations, and I've mainly done it that way because the corporates have the money. There's no lie. It's kind of like you can go with the smaller businesses, but they just do not have the same funds there, typically, same budget
or you
training.
can run into the issue where you have cash flow problems. So when you invoice,
you're waiting.
Yeah.
Although corporates do that too, actually, they can be a pain for that.
Yeah.
But after I'd had my first daughter, I thought, right, I'm going to work less time, but I'm going to earn more money, and it made sense to let's really focus in on large businesses who don't really go, how much? You know, they have a training budget and they're willing to pay it.
Sure.
But I slowly realised that was not where my passion lay at all. And actually, I've delivered some training sessions, come away feeling almost deflated, because the thing with corporates is they send people in who aren't really bothered about being in that training session often, and there's just no passion in the room.
Yes.
And I'm much more of a passion person. I like people to be passionate about it. I like people to buzz and go, I'm going to do this. And I've realised that tends to happen when I train small businesses.
Yeah.
So I do small business training at the moment, but most of it's online.
Sure.
And you get so much more passion from them. So I'm shifting more towards everything being online and it being a membership platform. So there's loads of training courses on there, plus there'll be the live element, live training, community where people can ask questions, actions for them to take every week. That, you know, so it's taking them steps forward rather than just training, actually saying, do this and this will happen.
And for you though, from a lifestyle point of view, surely this is going to create a lot more freedom, right?
100%.
You're not having to get on the road to go to an office to deliver training.
Absolutely. I mean, that's another thing that always, like, you know, having 3 small kids.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. And to be honest, I travel a lot anyway for speaking gigs, but that's fine because you can kind of often you can go there and back in the day. You can say, well, can I have a sort of 1 o'clock slot so that I can travel there in the morning, travel back in the afternoon? Or you're only sort of involved for maybe an hour and a half max. Or you get to be part of the whole event and you learn yourself. Whereas when you're delivering all day, it's like spending the day before travelling, delivering all day and then travelling through the evening. And it doesn't fit in great with a family, to be honest. So taking it online means I can do it all from home or on holiday or wherever I end up in the world. And I think it would just fit a lot better.
Yeah, I feel that like that's definitely where it's going to go for you. It's really exciting. I can't wait to see where we're at like this time next year.
We'll have to do another.
Yeah, we'll have to do
TV.
Yes, for sure. So let's get into I want to go into the psychology side. So if you don't know Sam, what you need to know about her that I think is really unique is that you have this in-depth psychology training and background. And when you bring that into the world of social media, it gets really interesting. So can you give us some certain examples of how you've managed to use your in-depth psychology training in the world of social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background's in business psychology. And bringing that into a social media world means I'm just much more laser focused on things like who's your audience and how do you speak to them, you know, as people. Because at the end of the day, that's what social media is about. It's people to people. It's not business to people. So I look at things like a company's personality, or I call it a brandinality. So what's the personality of your brand that personifies your brand, that makes it a person that people can build a relationship with, as opposed to just spouting out sales message after sales message after sales message that people switch off from straight away. They're not bothered about sales.
Or like a random vision statement. You're like, who the hell relates
who cares?
To that?
Exactly. So that's what I focus on a lot with my clients is how can you get your audience to care about you? How can you get them to build a relationship with you? How can you give them something through your social media that draws them to you so that when you have got an offer, that they go, I 100% have to buy that from you because I believe in your business so much, as opposed to if you're just putting sales after sales after sales post, you're actually switching them off, you're not engaging them. So I focus a lot on how do we engage them with your posts, and also make approximately sort of 80% of your social media posts have 0 sales involved. So
it's just about teaching with the personality and saying, this is who we are, this is what we stand for in the language that you want to be, the personality. That's cool. Hey, it's me again jumping in. Now, I would love it if you could give me some feedback on this episode. Be honest, did you find this conversation as helpful as what I did? So how do you feel about like the AI stuff? So if people implementing a bot, for instance, to help them reduce the amount of, inbox messages on Facebook, how do you get around that?
I think it's okay because when you use a bot, you still input the language that you want to use for that bot. So even though it's a bot, it's not robotic because you use your language. You say, okay, I want the bot to say this, so you type it out in your own language or say it in your own language. Or you can incorporate video into that, so you can have the bot send them a video of you, or a picture, so you can still involve elements of people in it.
Sure, that makes sense.
Which is better than just having like, you know, a hi, thanks for connecting, you know, that is robotic.
Yeah, and it turns you off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you can do it. I think the more you get involved in social media, the better. So if it's you in your DMs, chatting to people, asking them questions, I think that's a lot better than you kind of using a bot to ask a question that if they give X reply, then this answer comes back to them. And, you know, I think eventually they go, am I speaking to a real person?
This doesn't feel
and it becomes obvious.
Organic.
So
that's
they're all right. You can
but I suppose that even underlines what you do even more. Like you can't, if you're thinking about going into that area, people say it as like a big time-saving device.
Yeah.
But if you don't have your personality figured out, it's going to make it even harder to put that in place.
Yeah, it's pointless to use anything if it's not going to lead to customers down the line. Isn't it? You know, if you're switching people off, there's no point. It might be saving you time, but if it's saving you time but losing your custom, what's the point?
Yeah. Quickly then, I'm putting you on the spot here. Let me know if you want me to put it. So, what do you think is going to be a big shift or a big change in trend with social media in 2020?
So I think the biggest thing we've seen probably in 2019 is a shift more towards quick and dissolving content. So obviously like Instagram stories, it's there, then it's gone.
Yes.
And I think that's going to grow and grow even more. I think the stories side is going to grow. I think the feeling of it doesn't have to be perfect is going to become more of a trend. I think the realness, essentially, you know, and to be honest, it's not a new trend. People love reality TV. They have done for years and years. People like real life. So I think probably that will continue and grow even more in 2020 will be like the Instagram stories element. Instagram, I think, is going to be the one that pretty much every single business will start to go, oh, I need to be on that.
Get on it,
you know, I mean, 2 years ago, I barely used Instagram because I was business to business. It was like, you know what, my people aren't on there, so I'm not really going near it. Now, you know, actually, it's probably where I spend most of my time, and now also where I'm advising, even if you're business to business, that's where you need to be seen.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about Instagram is the visual element of it. You know, you have to create a visual. Even if that visual is text, you have to go to that effort of having a visual side rather than just a piece of copy.
Yeah.
So I think that really resonates more with people than just here's a bit of text that we want you to read.
I can't wait to see where you get even more CEOs of really big companies and they do an Instagram takeover for the stories, and you just get to see what it is they do. Like, imagine that from I know a lot of PR people might be watching this and going, no, we couldn't have our CEO on, but it's about that vulnerability factor. And if you feel like, you know, he doesn't quite know how to use it or something, you just fall in love with that.
And I think, you know, every CEO should just have their own profile on there, you know, separate business. In fact, I much prefer seeing businesses use people than when they just have a business account. So, you know, having lots of people within the business using it and showing their job or them dealing with customers or what they get up to, rather than it all just being one corporate account that
stuck in the marketing department.
As soon as you create a corporate account, it's like a switch goes to, let's turn off any personality, let's use boring language or jargon, let's use static, boring imagery, and it just takes away personality.
Yeah. So how, from a psychology point of view, then how do you do that? If somebody's watching this and they have got, maybe they've got a small business, but they really want to be seen as like this corporate slick, like personality, how do you bake in real, do you have to still get flaws in there from a psychology point of view?
Well, you don't have to push them in, if you know what I mean, if they exist, to make them be part of it. I think it's just being about real, to be honest. And I think, don't pretend to be something you're not. So don't try and be a big business if you're a small business, because actually a lot of people want to deal with small businesses. They don't want to deal with... And actually I personally think small businesses have a much bigger advantage on social media, because most of the time it's you. So for example, for me and you know, it's us in the business that we can show.
Just document the day-to-day.
And then it's like, you don't have to think, oh, what's the personality of our business? It's just our personality. So it's just us doing what we're doing day to day. And big businesses struggle with that because it's like, oh, how can we showcase what we're doing? And because we've got hundreds of people doing it.
Or how do we make a process out of this?
And how do we get people to build a relationship with people in the business when there's so many of them?
Yeah.
Whereas actually it's really easy for us to build relationships because it's us speaking to our customers.
Yeah.
So I think actually small businesses have a huge advantage with that. And I think, you know, if they're thinking, how do I make it more corporate? How do I make it more slick? I think actually just don't.
Yeah, you've lost the
Don't.
point.
Yeah, just don't.
Just show it.
Just be yourself.
Show it. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting trend. It'll be good to see how it turns out. So moving on then to talking about the photography plan. So we've shot on the green screen, as you know, and we'll be putting up the final results and how the pictures have evolved as well in between this conversation. But let's talk about where they're going to be used, because I think you came to me with a very specific brief, which I absolutely love when people do that, but you had a very clear visual idea. So let's just go through that and how you're planning on implementing these pictures into the business, the new business.
Yeah, so they're going to be on the website without a doubt, and you know, there's elements of sort of pointing and go and look at this and click here, and you know, using me as the pointer, if that makes sense. And again, I'm a big believer in, especially again for small businesses, you should be on your website.
100%.
You need to be there. You know, you need people to know what you look like. It's nothing to do with what you look like. It's building that relationship, because to me, it's like turning up to a networking event with a paper bag on your head. You know, people need to learn who you are and get to know you, and that's all done through seeing faces.
They want to look you in the eyes before they hit the buy button.
Absolutely. So I'll be on the website doing lots of pointing and smiling, and very, very cheery and smiley. And you know, that was really important to me, that it had a really cheery feel. I'll be using it on my social media, obviously. So profile pictures for social media, we're due a huge update. I mean, you know, when I look at what I've been using for the last few years, I just feel that's not me anymore. So. And that's natural, you know, we all evolve and change in our businesses.
That's very true of small business. Like, I think where I was just in my business, let alone where I was personally, but where I was in my business 2 years ago is significantly different. So this is why we have the 2-year rule here, and we say every 2 years you should be updating things.
Because everything changes, doesn't it, at the end of the day? Your branding doesn't have to be static. So yeah, social media profile pictures, social media posts, and the great thing about the green screen approach is obviously I can change and just, you know, change the background, and so actually the same pictures can be used to create completely different pictures.
Very different,
I would probably be using them within the content actually of my membership as well. So you know, so when you're logged in as a member, again, I'll sort of be poking up on there.
I see what you mean. That's cool.
And yeah, everywhere I can possibly think of, to be honest. Speaking bios, that's another really important one for me as well. Because again, my speaker bio pictures are just, again, they don't really represent actually how I come across on stage. It's like all the energy's been sucked out. So I need the speaker picture to show actually when I'm on the stage, there's energy.
You see, you're ahead of the curve there, because I feel like a lot of the speakers I work with, and it could be big speakers who command quite large fees, I often have to do a little bit of an education piece where I say to them, you need your headshot, you almost need a speaker headshot that gives you that flavour of what you get when you buy into you as a speaker. Then you need the documentation from the event of you actually on the stage. So it's like a 3-pronged approach, but you already knew this. Perfect client, man. So here are Sam's pictures. Have you now got a load of questions for Sam that we need to get her to answer? If yes, pop them below in the comments and I'll see if we can get her to chime in. Mwah. Now before you go anywhere, don't forget to subscribe. Mwah.